Don't know if that's an appropriate question. An ecosystem, irrespective where you're sort of looking at it or where you're finding it, is a kind of a complex network of interconnected systems. And sometimes they're in a very fine balance. If they work well together, then they create something, that's where the sum of the parts is sort of greater than the individual pieces.
I think rewind the clock 15, 20 years, people wanted a single system, a single pane of glass that basically does the majority of their job for them. But I think looking across our end users at our clients, there's just a whole different level of tech IQ that exists today. People are graduating college knowing how to code, knowing how to write Jupyter notebooks, all of these different types of once very specialized skills are now becoming much more democratized, which is really increasing our need to provide solutions for this new emerging class of citizen developers at an organization. I think the days of having just a few technical folks that were able to actually write code, build proprietary applications, figure out how to take some of those inputs and translate them into actual investment ideas, I think that group is expanding dramatically. But I think enabling those citizen developers, those end users who are more technically savvy than they may have been 10, 15 years ago, to do new innovative things with that data is the real value unlock that we're seeing more and more clients really come to us looking for.
I think that overall we've seen the market environment and the global geopolitical environment becoming more complex than a lot of us have been used to over the past decades. And at the same time, change is accelerating, or the pace of change is accelerating. And also in technological advances, right? Who would have thought that generative AI would become so smart so quickly? And I think this is where it becomes really vitally important to provide that controlled customization at scale, where you can have that stability, but then really build on top, right? Empower the citizen developers and make the overall ecosystem again more resilient.
And I think there's an overall uptick in accepting this very accelerated pace of change, to be completely honest. Financial services hasn't always been the most innovative, the most forward-looking industry in the world, and we kind of tail along after other industries have figured out what they're doing in cloud, what they're doing with new innovative ways of computing. But I think when it comes to things like generative AI, there's so much application to the financial services ecosystem that I see more and more firms that are willing to go a little bit further out on that risk and innovation curve and figure out how some of these differentiated technologies can be additive to their business in the short term, as opposed to waiting until it's too late. The decisions that clients make, that asset management firms make, that wealth firms make about their ecosystem, because everyone has their own individual unique ecosystem, has a direct linkage to business success, the ability to operate efficiently, the ability to attract new assets. All of these types of decisions are business decisions at the end of the day, and they're business decisions that have direct impacts on end users' experiences of what each client's individual ecosystem actually looks like.
Yeah, and for me that means when it's healthy, when this ecosystem is working well, it's really resilient. So you have on the one hand the stability that provides, or that, for example, an individual system provides, or a client's individual competitive advantage, and at the same time you've got the agility to evolve in a way that an individual participant in that ecosystem nowadays would not be able to do on their own.
People are more resilient and more equipped for change in herds than dealing with everything in isolation. And I think, as cheesy as it sounds, the same holds true when people are making these big operating model types of decisions. There's some semblance of safety in the fact that you're not going through any one of these ecosystem changes in isolation. You're part of a broader community, all of whom are coming together to try to figure out the exact same solutions to these challenges that present themselves.
It democratizes the responsibility of being aware of the apex predator coming around the corner. So all the changes that are happening, it means that in in our ecosystem, there's like hundreds of participants, and by the law of large numbers, it's more likely that someone in that ecosystem is going to spot a new change or a new opportunity. And so we're constantly developing, and we're developing faster and in a more resilient, scalable, efficient manner, because we are an ecosystem. We're stronger than we would be individually.
I feel like I'm kind of leaning towards Pia. Is that okay, or should I just go straight up? I feel like this feels more robotic.